Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? I trust everybody is doing okay. Sorry. I am just getting rid of stuff on my phone, stuff that I don't need. Okay, okay. Um, Give me uno momento. I'm doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Okay, so before we do anything, y'all deserve a weekly recap. I still think the stuff is wrong, but we'll go with it. There were 6 videos put out last week, 3 shorts, 4 live streams, 2 posts, 1.7k people tuned in, 4 new subscribers. Top videos were Whale Tales, Organism of the Week, Giant Squid, and 2 groups of whales. Y'all could find something else to watch, because there is better stuff out there. 18 likes, 20 shares, and 1 comment. How many times were your videos shared last week? Do we think it was 16, 20, or 24? What do y'all think? I'm thinking 16. Nope, actually it was 20. 20 was the, yeah. So, with that out of the way, we are at 319 subscribers, which is what I think we were at on Friday. Remember, we are trying to go for that 400 mark for our the subscribers for the channel for this month and into next month. We have an entire almost 2 months of lives that are planned out, ready to go. Very excited about that. We are going to be doing a Q&A. It'll be the 5th. So the first Friday that we have open for lives will be a Q&A. It's not going to be your typical thing. So we need a ton of questions. Please leave them somewhere. You can leave them on Instagram. You can leave them on TikTok. You can leave them on YouTube. You can leave them on Facebook, in the Facebook group. Yes, there is a Facebook group. I believe it's the same name as the channel. If not, there's a link in my channel stuff. So look for it. Let's get into today's topic though. Today's topic is how not to be stupid in YellowStone Park. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I guarantee it. I'm probably going to get really animated and all types of stuff. So, yeah, I just have to bear with me for just a second, because you know how I am. Sometimes I'm prepared, and sometimes, well, I get a little bit sloppy. We are looking for anything that looks like it's from my favorite park. So we're going to be doing a couple of these, how not to be stupids in national parks, or not even national parks, but just in general, because there are some doozies. But it's important because some of these are extremely, extremely important. Life-saving stuff that you should or should not be doing when you visit national parks, mainly Yellowstone. So, yes. So, first things first. Um, there is nothing that says that you can't come out and enjoy Yellowstone Park. They want you to. I want you to, but there are rules for the park. And if you're out there alongside the road and there are bears alongside the road too, don't be stupid. Stay in your cars. Because the minute you get out, is the possibility that you could be attacked. And if you get attacked, then the bears have to be dealt with. It's not fair to the bears. It's not fair to you. Stay in your car. Don't be stupid. And I'm probably going to throw that out there. Same thing. If you are out there in Yellowstone, you are required to stay so many yards away from the wildlife. Not doing so is going to get you hurt and could get the animals hurt. So be smart. Don't approach the wildlife. And if the wildlife approaches you, put some distance between you and the wildlife. It's that simple. Another thing, even the wildlife that you don't expect to be dangerous could be dangerous. Birds can be dangerous. Bears can be dangerous. Marmots can be dangerous. You are in their space. Respect them. It's okay to take pictures from a distance. Expect places to be jammed. There's going to be places where there's going to be a lot of people. Be mindful of that and be respectful of that. Don't be rude. Know that if you sneak up behind an animal, you're probably going to get a surprise. The animal may not like you there, and they may resort to letting you know that. You are, I think it's, I have to look it up, but I've mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again, probably 10,000 times. There is a distance that you are required to stay behind or away from animals. And just so we're clear, and I'm probably going to be saying that word a lot. I don't necessarily mean that you're stupid for not following the rules, but sometimes, let's face it, that's sort of what it boils down to. If you're not careful, you're going to end up hurt. Okay, so here it goes. This is directly from park regulations from Yellowstone Park. And probably the same thing for other parks as well. Never approach, harass, or feed any animal. even small ones. That includes marmots, squirrels, prairie dogs, whatever. It is against the law to do those things. It is also against the law to approach within 100 yards of a bear. So there's going to be times during this video, during this live, that I'm going to mention things that the people are just way too close. So know that if you are 100 yards or less than 100 yards away from a bear, you are breaking the law. Same thing, if you're within 25 yards of other wildlife, that includes bison, that includes elk, whatever, you are breaking the law if you are within 25 yards of that animal. And it is considered harassment if you're anywhere closer than 25 or 100 yards away. So bear that in mind. Pets. If you are going to have pets, be aware that you are in a wildlife situation, a wilderness situation. Keep them on their leashes, because I guarantee you, if your dog goes after a bison, it's not going to end well. You cannot take your pets onto trails, and you cannot take them into the backcountry. Not allowed. And that is for safety reasons. So it's not that the park is coming down on you. They're trying to protect your animal, and they're trying to protect the animals that live in the park. Okay, so if you go to Yellowstone Park and you are there and you come across an animal, we're going to say a bear because that seems to be the end thing, and you're out there fishing and the bear steals your fish and it is sitting there on the shore eating your fish, it is not okay to sit there and take pictures. You need to be gone. It is not okay for you to walk up to that bear and pet it. It is not your dog. It is not a puppy dog. It's not your cat. It's a wild animal, and you could end up dead, severely injured, whatever. Don't do it. Be smart. They will act accordingly. If there's a sign that says do not enter, there's probably a reason for that. Probably a big reason. Biggest reason being you don't want to end up dead. And you don't know. Also, climbing over the railings for that special picture, not okay either. You could end up dead. If there are animals like moose in an area, may not be a good idea to approach that, because again, you could end up dead. If you have dogs, again, make sure your dogs are on a leash, because if they harass animals, chances are you're gonna get a ticket. I am currently watching one where a moose is moving in on a dog. Again, be smart. Keep your dogs on a leash and away from the wildlife, because again, if your dog harasses an animal, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. If you have children with you in the park, keep your eyes on them. An animal encounter could be totally peaceful, or you could end up with one less kid. It is totally up to you. Remember, keep your distance. It's going to keep you safe. Well, it could keep you safe. The animals that you see in Yellowstone Park are not pets. They're not toys. They're not domesticated. They're not farm animals. These are animals that, yes, you could lose your pet. Exactly. Oopsie. Um, there's nothing I can do or nothing you could do if an animal gets close to you while you're in your car. But when you're out there, outside of your car, and you're filming wildlife, remember to keep your distance. There's nothing you can do to avoid those animals if they come up to you. But remember, if you're not within that so many yards, you could be given a ticket for harassing wildlife. Another thing to remember is the wildlife doesn't understand um that you are just there taking photos. They might take your presence as being a threat and act accordingly. Again, sometimes the animal is fine with you being there. They may not show any aggression, but things can change really quickly. So be mindful of that. Now, on the other hand, sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you're walking and all of a sudden, true, they don't speak English or Chinese or Mexican or anything else. They don't. They don't understand it. So talking to them, no, not a good idea. But sometimes you're going to have situations where you might be on a trail and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there are bears. Please do not run. Don't run around predators. Not a good idea. I call that dinner. Again, if you are visiting a national park and you climb over the barriers to get the perfect photo and you slip and fall, oops. Stuff happens, guys, and it happens for a reason. Um, During the rut, this is the big breeding season for the elk and moose and other animals. Hormones run very, very high. And if you are around a male moose or elk and it is rutting season, you could be in trouble. Keep your distance. It is not okay also to use your car as a shield. You're still out there harassing the wildlife. Do it from a safe distance if you're going to take pictures. Especially if you have little kids. Just saying. Bears are very smart. They're very curious. If you're parked along the roadside, good idea to put your windows up. They're gonna see if you have food because chances are really good they've been fed before. And that's why they don't want you feeding the animals because they learn that people provide food and they will act accordingly, especially if you have food in your car. They can smell that. And believe me, a hungry bear is a dangerous bear. Um, let's see what else. Oh, yes. We talked about this briefly about pestering other animals. I'm going to mention this now, and I might be sorry. Yes, and we'll be talking about that here in a second, I think. Let's talk rodents real quick. Some of you may know that during the Dark Ages, there was a thing called bubonic plague or the Black Death. Ladies and gentlemen, not to put you on a tizzy or not to upset you, but the plague as a disease still exists. If your kids are out there messing with prairie dogs, maybe picking them up, maybe petting them, maybe feeding them, maybe pestering them, being in a situation where you could get fleas off of them, not a good deal. Leave the wildlife alone. Some of these animals, the fleas that are, especially rodents, mainly rodents that we're talking about, if you get bit by one of those fleas, you could pick up bubonic plague. Leave the animals alone. Also, not that this falls into the manner of what we're talking about, but if you're visiting Yellowstone and you see a mama with babies, she's not going to take kindly to you pestering them. Okay? Also, um also expect traffic jams. There's going to be times when animals are going to be in the road. They had the right of way, not you. We've already talked about getting too close to the wildlife, so I'm not going to keep dwelling on that. Just want to remind you that if you see a baby animal, especially baby bear, baby cougars, whatever it might be, baby mountain lions, if you see a baby, please, please do not. That is not a photo opportunity, guys. That's an opportunity for you to be taken to the hospital or an opportunity for you to get mauled, which is probably one and the same thing. Just don't do it. Leave it, stay in your vehicle, do it from a safe distance. That's how people end up dead. I'm going to be blunt. Nothing there. Just a reminder that if you are less than 25 yards away from an animal, you're breaking the law. Also, important to note that if you see an animal stomping the ground with their front feet, too late. That is a warning for you to get out of there. You need to stay within that 25 yards. That is not a suggestion. That is law when you visit these parks. Animals, remember, animals during the rut may get aggressive. So be careful. Maybe avoid walking in areas where they are. I'm not going to deal with animals from outside the country because I don't need to. Listen to your lifeguards. Again, animals will be animals. Let them do their thing. Trees. Let's talk about trees for a second. Certain animals climb, others don't. If you're being attacked by a grizzly bear, you might be able to get away with climbing. But I'm gonna give you a little hint. Black bears climb trees. Yes, black bears climb trees, so don't go up into a tree thinking you're going to be protected. And no, I'm not talking down to you. I'm just telling it like it is. Because sometimes people need help. Um, Also, some national parks are on areas where there are beaches. So let's talk about that for a second. I believe there are rules for that too. Rules for keeping away from seals or sea lions on a beach. Because I'm pretty sure. Okay, so if you are on a beach somewhere or a shore and you see a seal or a sea lion, doesn't matter where you are at, you have to be at least 50 yards away from them. 50 yards away from any seals or sea lions. Okay? It is not okay to approach them. It is not okay to let your children approach them. It's not okay for your children, for your pets to approach them. Okay? Just saying. Be smart. Um, if you approach an animal and they're on the ground and you disrupt them, no. Um, there may be times when you're visiting the park, an animal might come up on you and not be happy that you're there in your car, and they may decide to charge. That's a very good reason why you need to be in your cars, because it's safer that way. Again, it's a really good idea if you're in Yellowstone Park or other parks that have bears. If you're parked along the roadside and there are bears, that's a good idea to keep your window rolled up because cubs don't know any better. They're going to be curious. They're going to try potentially getting into your car. We're not worried about that. Um, so let's talk about geysers or hot springs. Guys, um, they are dangerous. They are dangerous. I don't know how many times I need to say that. They're dangerous. How hot is the water coming out of Old Faithful? Guys, I'm sorry, I don't have all of these facts running through my head. Um, just 45 feet below the surface of Old Faithful, that water is 244 degrees Fahrenheit. Prior to an eruption, the water is at 204 degrees, and that is at the vent. 204 degrees um at the vents. At the surface, it is at 199 degrees Fahrenheit. That's enough to severely burn you. Not a good idea. Um, the hot springs. Yeah, that's 204 at the vent prior to the eruption is the 2004 degrees. The vents, the hot springs, the water coming out of those hot springs is 198 degrees. 198 degrees. Um, the steam vents are reported to be as high as 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't put your hands in the water. You're going to cook your flesh. Seriously, don't do it. It's dangerous. In some places, there is a crust of minerals. Well, I'm taking that directly from Yellowstone itself. So, I don't know. That's However, Yellowstone is an active geothermal area with hot springs emerging at 198 degrees Fahrenheit and steam vents reported as high as 275 degrees Fahrenheit. So, it does say that during an eruption, the water temperature at the vent has been measured at 204. But temperatures, I'm assuming, can vary. So, but it's hot enough to kill you. Don't do it. There are places where it looks like it's safe to walk on. It's sort of like ice. There are minerals in the hot water. Um, there are areas where the water has, when it comes up out of the ground, the water has a lot of minerals in it. As the water evaporates, it leaves behind those minerals. Or as the water cools, there may be minerals that leach out. Um, that crust can be just not even an inch thick. If you step on it in the wrong spot, you're going in, you could get seriously burned. Um, Case in point, this wasn't a human, but there was a bear cub that a week before I was there, they had a bear cub get burned in one of the pools, and they had to keep people out of there hoping that mom would move on. Mom didn't move on. They had to euthanize the cub. That's how badly it was burned. And they took mom and the remaining cubs and flew them back into the backcountry. So, yeah, it's a very, very real thing. I'm not just saying this stuff to scare you. Um, I think I pretty much covered. Oh, another thing to remember, like I said, black bears climb trees. Remember that black bears climb trees. Also important to remember, you cannot fly you cannot fly a what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out. Anyway, there are rules that you can and cannot do in Yellowstone Park. One of those is fly a drone. Not allowed. Animals don't like to be touched. If you touch an animal, expect a reaction. If you get too close to an animal, expect a reaction. Yes, a drone, thank you. If you have kids, it is not okay to break the rules with your kid because you're still breaking the law, and you're probably going to get even into more trouble because you're endangering your child by breaking the rules. Um, again, guys, seals and sea lions do bite. They will attack. Stay within a safe distance because they don't like you. Again, that 100 yards that we talked about with bears can pretty much apply to any animal. So just keep that in mind. If they tell you to stay off the arch or to stay off of something in a national park, there's probably a very good reason for that. Follow the rules. If you see a sign that says, do not enter rattlesnakes, there's a reason for that. Obey the signs. Um, the lakes and stuff that you see in a national park, they're not there for you to swim in. Um, just they're there for you to enjoy, to look at, but apart from that, be mindful also if you're in certain areas, um, especially in places like Zion National Park or Arches. You may encounter flash flooding situations. Be mindful of that, especially in the summer, or especially in the spring, potentially into the summer. Um, let's see what else. I think I've covered just about everything. Have I forgot anything, Carol? I think pretty much I have. I'm gonna mention this only because I may not get to it later. If you go into a zoo or you're at a national park or wherever you are at, and there are barriers set up to keep you out of something, stay out of it. The barriers are there to keep you safe. Crossing those barriers could mean, uh-oh, don't cross barriers. Um, what have I left out? Oh, yes, let me just refrain. Let me just repeat. If you do encounter a animal in the wild, not a good idea to run, because this is what happens. Predators that chase prey, the animals run. You see a predator, you run, you set off predator's instincts to attack you. Also, mama bear with babies, I think I've said this already, she doesn't want you by her babies. Give her space. I've already mentioned this at least 1,000 times already. Elk, bears, birds, all of those things, they're not they're not pets. Don't pet them. They every time, guys, they don't want your attention. They want to be left alone. Leave them alone. If you're in a national park, that is not a time for you to be doing your jumping around on rocks. Pretty much the rules that apply for Yellowstone apply to any national park, and you should be mindful of that. You should be mindful of that anywhere you go. It's just common sense, really. There's going to be times when you're going to be somewhere and stuff you just in general, nature's unpredictable. Doesn't matter if it's rocks, doesn't matter if it's water, doesn't matter if it's lightning, doesn't matter if it's birds. Doesn't matter what it is. Nature is unpredictable. If you get too close to something, you could be doing something that is not smart. Yeah, I've talked about that a little bit, but we'll talk about it again. When you feed an animal, and it doesn't matter if that animal is a bird within a national park or a state park, it doesn't matter if that animal is a squirrel, an alligator, a chicken. Okay, well, there won't be chickens in a national park, but bears, whatever. Don't feed the animals. And there's a very important reason for that. One, it's not human food. They're not out there eating human food. You could make them sick. So that's one thing. You could make that animal sick. Two, you are teaching them that people mean food. Because if John Doe feeds me, then it's okay to assume that Jane Doe is going to feed me. If you have food in your tent, bears can smell that. If you take your dog out with you into the trails and a hungry predator comes along, you're feeding that animal. Think about that. If you feed the alligators at the Everglades, again, they're smart enough to know that if John Doe feeds them, that Jane Doe and little Eric Doe might also feed them. And eventually, you know what happens if enough people feed an animal? They lose their fear of people. And when that happens, they become dangerous. And you know what happens to a dangerous animal in Yellowstone? An animal that consistently is approaching people, especially if it's a predator, they kill them. And so if you're one of those people that's feeding the bears, shame on you. Shame on you. I think that was pretty clear. Um, Not only are you breaking the rules when you feed them, but you're endangering yourself. Maybe I'm too hyped up on this. I don't know. But yeah, just don't do it, guys. Leave the animals alone. Be smart. Um so just so you know, I'm going to stop. I'm going to bring myself back down. Um Friday's live is going to be sharks and shark conservation. It's mostly going to be conservation, guys. Um the 5th of December, we are doing polar creatures. Also, I need your help on the 22nd and the 29th of December. We're going to be doing a history of Christmas traditions, just something fun, something light. And then the 29th, we're going to be doing New Year's Eve traditions. So if you have Christmas traditions or New Year's Eve traditions, we're going to be talking about that. Also, the 2nd and the 5th of January, we're just going to have some fun just chatting. I don't know how I'm going to do that because our Q&As and everything else that's been happening with my YouTube, people not being able to get in, whatever, we're just going to have a chat. The Q&A, if I don't get questions, I'm going to have to pull questions. It's not going to be super fun, but whatever. Um, we're going to be doing some games. We have 3 games that are planned at least. So be on the watch, and always, I'm going to try and be a little bit more proactive and posting the lives on the channel's YouTube page or Facebook page, as well as the channel's page. I do want to say something really quick. Since I'm putting this out there, the Facebook group, anybody can join it. Okay? However, I am not accepting invitations to be your friend on my Facebook. Okay? It's okay to join the Facebook group. Not okay to send me a friend request. Okay? Probably gonna get turned down. So, space, guys. Also, should I start doing lives on Instagram? They might go better. They might go better. Because then I think YouTube, I think Facebook, if you're on Facebook, you can join that as well. I might start doing a once a week live on Instagram. I don't think I can do lives on TikTok yet. So, I will try and work that into the schedule. I'm thinking Sunday night. I will look into that. Maybe not Sunday night, but I will consider it. We are 50 minutes into this live. Do I have questions, comments, or concerns from the chat? I don't think I've received any questions that I need to address. I don't think. Let's see. Do I? I don't think so. No, I don't wear sunglasses. If you want to chat with me or anything else, please keep it on YouTube. There are ways of contacting me. And I don't mind doing that. I really don't. But yeah, keep it on Facebook. Keep it where it belongs. I don't have any questions. I don't think. I just posted the lives or the new shorts for today. So you can look for those. Hey, we gained, maybe that's not new. I gained 12 subscribers on the other group. I thought that was just 10. By the way, if you are into the animal figures like these, and you collect those, you might be interested in my other YouTube channel, which is Wildlife Replica World. Yeah, so that's the thing. If you're interested, definitely feel free to check it out. And if you're not, that's okay too. So let's do a real quick weekly recap on that channel. There was one video and 3 shorts. 174 people tuned in. This is what you guys watched on that channel. Leucistic animals, gorillas in captivity, and great white shark toy review. What was your most watched video last week? What do you think? Is it gorillas in captivity, great white shark toy review, or leucistic animals? I know what my thought is. Oh, I didn't do a survey. I did not do a poll. Okay, before you leave, you're required to do the poll and then you can leave. I am happy to answer your questions, guys. You can leave them in the comment section. I really do enjoy doing these lives. I'm still pretty low on subscribers, so feel free if you checked out this live at a later date, subscribe. Love to have you. I try to make these as interesting as I can. I do have some really cool lives coming up, and I'm still learning YouTube. So, still stuff I'm learning and probably will continue to learn. So, yeah. Um so let me know what you want to see in lives or what topics you think might be cool to talk about. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I really have no idea. So, I am going to say goodbye. Love y'all. Remember to never give up on yourself. Always make sure that you are not giving up on yourself. And love your neighbors. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.